Stuart Kavanagh, and welcome to the After Extra Time podcast, where we talk about the big news, the big games, and the big names in the English Premier League. As per usual, I'm joined by journalist, Manchester United fan, editor-in-chief of the sportsbank.net, author of Transatlantic Passage, How the Premier League Redefines Soccer in America, and my good friend, it's Paul M. Banks. How are you going, Paul, mate?
Well, you included Manchester United fan in the opening, so I think you can kind of guess how it's going.
Absolutely. I know we just spoke off air. We are definitely going to cover a bit of Manchester United content tonight. But first, I wanted to just touch on the AFCON stuff, mate. Did you manage to catch the AFCON final?
Yeah, I did. What was going on? The gamesmanship, the espionage there between Salah and Mane.
I think it was all in, it was taken in a competitive spirit. I don't think there's anything personal there. It was interesting. I've read some articles about it. Salah told the goalkeeper that Mane was going to shoot to the right. And then Mane came over and said, don't listen to him. I'm going to shoot to the left. Turns out Salah was right. He shot to the right and the keeper saved it. But it was all for naught because Mane scored the winning penalty and Salah didn't even take one.
Well, do you think there is something to like the fact that that it's been said that they really don't like each other?
I have read that. I think what was most telling, I know people have focused on the gamesmanship with the penalty in the first half. I think the most telling image from the final was post-game after Mane had slotted home the winning penalty and went and celebrated with the fans. He made a beeline to console Salah. I think it's a bit of a storm in a teacup. I think there's definitely a bit of competitiveness between them. Like they both want to be the main man, but I think on a personal level, they're probably buddies. I mean, they've won the Champions League, they've won the Premier League together. I don't think there's anything to it personally.
A storm in a teacup, huh?
Yeah, it's just one of my old chestnuts, mate. I love teaching you new phrases.
Give that a wide berth. You could.
Another thing we spoke about this week that listeners might be interested to hear about is the Super Bowl halftime show, mate. I'm so excited about it. I can't wait.
I'm really, really super excited. This is, for an old person like me, this is like the first CDs I ever bought. Those are called compact discs for you youngsters. That's what a CD is. First albums I ever bought was The Chronic, Dr. Dre.
Classic.
Dre was like my all-time favorite. Snoop was my all-time favorite. And then Eminem, not just the music, but like as a stand-up comedian or a satirist, as a lampoon artist. I just thought about like with that, like 20 years ago, and it's still funny to me. He made a music video in 2002. So this is, months or after 9/11. He's dressed like Osama bin Laden. And like the screen grab makes it look like it's a video from like Al Jazeera and it's on CNN. And he's dressed like bin Laden and he's dancing to the beat.
Yep. Yeah.
He's like, so bin Laden's in a cave. He's in Tora Bora. He's in his cave dancing. And then the rap group D12, that was close to Eminem, they come in and then they capture bin Laden. And after he surrenders, then they all just start dancing together.
That is a classic. Is that the Just Lose It music video?
That's no, that's a good one too. That's this is Be So Empty Without Me. Now this looks like a good job for me. So everybody just follow that one.
Yep. Fantastic. Eminem, all-time favorite of mine. Snoop's kind of lost a bit of his luster for me as far as rapping goes, but I'm still super excited to see him. And then just the fact that the big name that they've secured there is Dr. Dre, and we can't forget about Kendrick Lamar also. Mary J. Blige. It's going to be a fantastic show. Super Bowl halftime shows, they don't have a fantastic record of living up to the hype, but I would be so surprised if this one doesn't live up to the hype.
Yeah, when you actually think about it, the one where Michael Jackson had like all the body doubles like appear on the different corners of the Rose Bowl, like on the scoreboard, that one was pretty cool.
Yeah, I actually went down a bit of a rabbit hole after the Weeknd's performance last year. And I was just looking at some of the worst Super Bowl halftime shows, and there has been some stinkers, but there has been some good ones too. But this is a Premier League podcast, Paul. But just while we're off Premier League, I just want to say you're a bit of a Star Wars fan like myself. I just watched the Boba Fett finale. No spoilers. All I'm going to say to all those Star Wars nerds out there, do yourself a favor, check it out. It was fantastic.
Yeah, just like as Gerrard did. Do not try, do or do not. There is no try.
Absolutely. Special guest appearance from Yoda there. But Paul, let's get back on the let's get back to Premier League here. There hasn't been a lot of Premier League.
I can, yes.
there hasn't been a lot of Premier League, but I'm super excited that the Premier League is back. We're in the midst of a midweek round right now. We'll touch on that a little bit later, but as per usual, we're just going to roll straight into winners and losers. I'm just going to go my winner first because I don't have a lot to say. It's pretty succinct, pretty straight to the point. Southampton had a huge win against Antonio Conte's Tottenham side this morning, winning 3-2. If you read my preview on the sportsbank.net, you would have seen that I did not give Southampton a hope in hell here, given Antonio Conte's home record. But they got the job done. They got the biscuits, and they beat them 3-2. So they're my big winner this week, Southampton.
Congratulations, Saints. Yeah, on a previous episode, I've discussed why I have kind of a soft spot for them. Tottenham's getting it together, but obviously there's still a ways to go yet.
Certainly a work in progress, mate. But you thought that I made this team up your winners. You thought that they were the equivalent of the London Silly Nannies.
Yeah, so I looked up. They're in the National League North, which is the 6th division of the football pyramid. So basically, the Kidderminster Harriers.
Yes,
Kidderminster Harriers. I'd never heard of them. It seemed like a joke. The only reason I know what a Harrier is because it's that British jet airplane that can fly straight up and down like a helicopter, which I'm sure is named after an animal or named after something else. I'm sure this team is probably not named after war machines. I don't think it's named after, and even that is a Simpsons reference in itself. Behold now the pride of the United States Air Force, the British-made Harrier jet.
It was a fantastic performance from the Harriers. I thought West Ham would get the job done pretty easily, but it took a heartbreaking goal for any Harriers fans out there, right at the death from Declan Rice to take it to extra time. And then essentially with the last kick of the game, Jarrod Bowen just ripped their hearts out with a late winner for the Hammers.
Yeah, to stop a replay. That's all the cliches about a moral victory. Covering the spread if you had some money on them. I believe West Ham has some kind of crazy streak where they've never been eliminated in this competition by a non-league opponent for over a century.
Yeah. 1919 was the last time they were eliminated. I think from memory, Swindon Town was the team that eliminated them. And an interesting fact there is that West Ham were also a non-league team at that time too. So since they've entered the Football League and become fully professional, they've never been eliminated by a non-league team.
I thought this was, I tweeted this was like a high school or like a junior college baseball team playing a major league team when you have a difference of 5 tiers. I mean, this is like when Marine played Tottenham a couple of years ago.
Mm-hmm. Over 130 spots between them in the footballing pyramid. So fantastic effort from the Harriers. Hard luck that they didn't make it through to the 5th round. They're in pretty big company in not making it to the 5th round, and that's a decent segue to move on to our losers, Paul. Interestingly, we've both gone for the same losers, but just with a different slant on our reasoning. Why don't you kick things off for us, mate?
Yes, this is inspired by I believe it was like Football Observatory, CIES. I don't really know what that is. That I know they've been around for a while, and they seem to get a lot of pub in all the soccer outlets. They discussed a study in which United were the biggest transfer spending losers of all of this period of time. They took a loss of nearly £1 billion, so 900 million Great British pounds they've lost from who they've bought and sold. And February 1st was the last day that Ed Woodward was on the job. Richard Arnold, I don't know how much of a difference that's going to be, how much, at least he seems to not be stepping on other people's toes. At least he seems to be staying in his lane. But the mess here, this is what's so the problem about United. It's like, let's go through the list. Angel Di Maria, registered a lot of assists, didn't score a lot of goals, was considered a major flop under Louis van Gaal. Memphis Depay, total flop, total mess. Again, under Van Gaal, goes to Barcelona, goes on with his career, it gets better. Paul Pogba is probably going to walk on a free. So he shattered the record, the all-time record, most expensive player alive in 2016 when he came over. I wouldn't say he's been like just a complete total flop, but he hasn't lived up to the hype at all. It's been maybe more downs than ups. Alexis Sanchez, biggest disaster signing in United history.
Say he takes the cake as far as terrible signings go.
Yeah, I would say, yeah, he does. Maybe he's like the worst of all time. Jadon Sancho is playing a lot better lately, but it took him forever to even get started, So his 2021 was pretty bad. His 2022 is looking better. The reverse is happening with Ronaldo. Ronaldo has not registered a goal or an assist in the calendar year 2022.
Wow, I wasn't aware of that stat. He did miss a golden opportunity to score a goal in the FA Cup. That's incredible.
It's just something in the water there or something. It's like all these guys, I don't know, maybe the idea is that like they come there to develop and get better, but they don't. And not only does that, but guys get worse. I mean, I'm not saying like Harry Maguire was thought to be the greatest player of all time, but to be the most expensive defender ever, and the last game, he's trending because everyone wants to see him go. Like, what is going on there? Like, that's why they're my big loser. It does not matter who they sign.
Yeah, it does seem like there's a big curse of regression if you sign on the dotted line in the post-Fergie Manchester United era, doesn't it?
Exactly. Otis knocked over. We're recording this on a new laptop, and although this microphone is not new, this is the first time I've used it on this podcast, and Otis is chewing on it and knocking it over.
That is incredible. That list that you just rattled off there, they're all world-class players. I guess the biggest question mark is over Alexis Sanchez, although he has moved to Inter and picked up a Scudetto since he's left Manchester United. So that's fascinating. The sheer amount between 900 million and $1 billion on players. And then when you run through that list, it's just incredible. My loser is also Manchester United. Mine is for more on the pitch stuff. Horrible week for Manchester United. Knocked out from the FA Cup by championship opposition Middlesbrough. A lot of controversy regarding Middlesbrough's equalising goal. And that's the way things go. They lost on penalties. Poor Anthony Elanga missing the crucial penalty there. Tough break for the young fella. But then they followed it right up with a draw at rock bottom Burnley in the league. Are they beyond help at this point?
I don't know what to say. Even David Moyes won a Community Shield. As I wrote in the Sports Bank, you look back and you're like, wow, Jose Mourinho, what a miracle worker, because he got that plastic trouble with those 3 minor trophies. But I don't know if I buy that because he flopped so badly at his next job. And
Jose Mourinho is definitely yesterday's man. It is an interesting point that you bring up, that he's a bit of a miracle worker for winning the Europa League, managing a second place finish in the Premier League. He said at the time that was his biggest achievement in football. This is a man that's won leagues all over the world. He's won Champions Leagues. And with the squad, he had the tools at his disposal. He said it was his greatest achievement, winning that plastic treble. There are some similarities here. And I don't know if you're going to like it. Maybe you take a bit of joy in me taking a bit of a stroll down memory lane. But, the similarities between Manchester United's nosedive post Fergie and the Liverpool nosedive at the beginning of the Premier League era, I guess you'd call it post Kenny, are fascinating, don't you think?
I knew you were going to mention Liverpool in some way as soon as you started that sentence, and I guess that does. And what else? What other era could you? Yeah, the early '90s, mid
It is
'90s.
it is uncanny. It's uncanny just the way things have gone down, and in a weird way, Manchester United have done probably a little bit better. Because they've still, I know they're only minor trophies. You talked about Moyes with the Charity Shield. Van Gaal won the FA Cup. Jose won the Europa League and the League Cup.
Let's not forget that for as much of a mess as they are, for the most part, they still do enough to finish top 4 fairly consistently.
Mm-hmm. Do you think that they'll finish top 4 this year, mate?
I do. That seems to be like the new standard, I guess. It's like the Glazers do enough to get there. Like the money's there, they're spending,
Absolutely.
they're getting big names, so there is talent. Why does the talent not achieve? I don't. Why do they not get it done on the pitch where it counts?
That's the eternal question, mate. Absolutely.
It's not manager because they've shifted enough. They've gotten enough different types of managers. So.
Yep, totally. It will be interesting to see how they go with the new guy Richard Arnold going forwards, taking care of their recruitment. Where they go after Ralph Rangnick, it seems all signs point to Maurizio Pochettino, who's having a bit of a tough season at PSG, despite the recruitment of potentially the greatest player of all time in Leo Messi. So watch this space with Manchester United. With the lack of Premier League action, it has been a little bit of a blessing. One of my favorite segments we've been able to bring back for the last couple of weeks, and we're doing it again. It is football focus. I just want to add a little bit of a trigger warning here. We're going to be talking about some sensitive subjects ranging from animal abuse all the way to pedophilia and sexual assault. So if that's the kind of thing that triggers you, perhaps skip this section. Footballers behaving badly. We're tackling some issues that have come to light in recent weeks. We are, of course, talking about footballers behaving badly. From the horrific Mason Greenwood situation last week, we've moved straight into another despicable display of behavior from Kurt Zouma this week. Why does this new generation of footballers display such antisocial and in some cases sociopathic behavior? Is it a new phenomenon, or is it something that has been lurking beneath the surface for quite some time, as Paul alluded to a little bit last week?
Yeah, I think part of it is social media, 24-hour cable news, just information overload. There's so much competition for attention. The salacious stuff, if it bleeds, it leads, as they always say in the news industry. Right. That traffics more, that gets more attention. It's out there. It's totally different because, with Mason Greenwood, you have the victim actually presenting the evidence, like not in a court of law, but in the court of public opinion, like the victim presenting exhibit A through social media. And then with Kurt Zouma, you have his brother, like, essentially ratting him out, because that's how it got started, with a Snapchat video. Social media has given us this insight into who these people are. And, I'm, in the words of Aretha Franklin, I ain't no psychiatrist. I ain't no doctor with degree. What I can say is I think when you're rich, powerful, famous, you've got hangers on, you've got groupies, you've got everybody worshiping you, you may start to think you're bulletproof. And I think that principle is 10x when you started that way as a child. Like, we see that in Hollywood. Child stars grow up to be the most fucked up adults possible, and it's a fairly consistent pattern. I mean, not all of them, but many of them, certain, maybe even most. And I think with these footballers, if you get started in this academy and you sign as a kid and you're just constantly being told you're the next best thing, you never learn humility, you never become grounded. For this week, this the big news story came to my attention through the third member of our podcast. That's through Otis. Otis has an Instagram account and he has a group. It's called the Mafia Kitty Club, and that's his little discussion thread. And this came from at Handsome Hobbs Official. Hobbs, as his name implies, is a very handsome looking cat who lives in Scotland. The human running it is a big time Manchester United fan, and they showed me what happened with Zuma, and they're like, Paul, you better write about this. Paul, you're a sports journalist. Let's get, or they're like, Otis, get your dad to do this. Otis's dad, write about this. And everyone in the group signed that petition from change.org. The petition to get the cats rehomed from Zuma.
Yeah, you actually brought the Kurt Zuma story to my attention. It's just another way to highlight these people that just they're not connected with real life. You know, you mentioned it. You very succinctly put it together when you're talking about humility, groundedness. These people are being told they're the next big thing from when they're a kid. They're getting paid stupid money. I mean, you know, once you sign a professional contract, you're earning as much as I do in a month. You know, in a matter of hours. They're not connected to the real world. I mean, last week the Mason Greenwood thing. You know, I kind of struggled through it because I wasn't really prepared, and I know that was super unprofessional, but I was still kind of processing what happened. It was brought to my attention that perhaps I was making excuses for him. I just want to reiterate that it's horrific behavior, much like the Kurt Zuma stuff is. I'm not making excuses for him at all. Anyone who treats anyone like that deserves to be prosecuted to the full extent of the law, and that's just something I wanted to share. With regards to the Mason Greenwood thing. This petition that you mentioned, Paul, you'll have to share the link with me so I can add it to the episode notes. I would encourage everybody out there, whether you're an animal lover or not, what kind of monster is an animal lover, right? I encourage you to sign this petition.
Right, and we began this segment with trigger warnings. And I put that in my coverage of Kurt Zuma and Mason Greenwood about, do you want to watch this video or not? Because like Otis's kitty club, the humans, you know, running their cat accounts, they couldn't bring themselves to watch it. I did. I mean, it was awful, obviously, but I don't know. Everyone's different. Like I'll sit through these things. I'll endure it. Obviously, that had this petition got a lot of traction. It had 50,000 signatures almost instantly. Adidas dropped Kurt Zuma.
Rightly so.
Yeah, rightly so. West Ham has said that they're going to pay 2 weeks of his salary. They're going to take that amount and give it to animal charities.
Mm-hmm.
We already talked about David Moyes being kind of an idiot in a way. I don't know why. David Moyes started him less than 24 hours with that started circulating.
Mm-hmm.
The Watford fans booed him every single time he touched the ball. The Watford fans, when Zuma went to ground, presumably hurt to some extent, they started chanting, "That's how your cat feels."
Mm-hmm.
So maybe we give Watford FC fans they can also be a winner this week for what they did.
It's just horrific behavior. It just shows that these footballers, these megastars, are not connected with reality. They live in a different reality that you and I will probably never be a part of because we don't earn millions of dollars a year. I've just got a bit of a roll call here just to kind of illustrate that this isn't a recent thing. It's been going on for quite some time. And this is probably, I mean, the Greenwood stuff and the Zuma stuff are bad. But this is really why I wanted to have the trigger warning in here because some of this stuff is just horrendous. We've got the Harry Maguire punching police in Mykonos on the Greek islands. You know, Manchester United captain, really. Steven Gerrard, in his early days, in the early 2000s, charged with assault after being in a bar fight in Liverpool. My God, you've got United star and former Wales manager Ryan Giggs facing 5 years in prison for domestic abuse.
Also had an affair with his own brother's wife.
Despicable. Adam Johnson, former Sunderland and Manchester United player, was sentenced to 6 years in prison after being convicted of having sex with a minor. That's just disgusting. Ben Mendy has been charged with 7 counts of rape on 6 different victims, at least one of which was under the age of 18. We're talking about a serial rapist who's earning millions of dollars a year, running around in the Premier League. It's terrible. Jerome Boateng over in Germany assaulted his former girlfriend horrifically in January in 2020. Something that you brought to my attention when the Greenwood story first dropped was Foden and Greenwood breaching COVID rules in a city in, I think, Iceland, which name I cannot pronounce.
Reykjavik.
Thank you.
Reykjavik.
Back in September 2020 with hookers. I mean, what's going on here? It's kind of a disgrace. And, we're fans too, Paul, right? So we're guilty of putting these players up on a mantle. He's touched on Cristiano Ronaldo. I'm a big Steven Gerrard stan, but these people, sometimes you need to take a little bit of a closer look at just exactly who you're idolizing.
Yeah, there's a great Florentino Perez quote that's been recirculating and all this about he was caught like at a hidden mic or something. I don't think he said this on the record, but like football players are awful. I can't count on players for anything. I don't trust them.
Florentino Perez is not a stand-up guy. I think it's probably safe to say that. And if he's saying that, I think it just goes to show how dark the underbelly of professional football at the highest level really is.
Absolutely.
Yes, league football is finally back. We're currently in the midst of a midweek round of fixtures right now, so we'll wrap those up before looking at the Valentine's weekend round of fixtures. There are 2 games left in match day 24 to tackle first. Paul, we've got Wolves hosting Arsenal at the Molineux and Liverpool hosting a poor Leicester side at the moment at Anfield. How do you see those matches going, my friend?
I think in the Brendan Rodgers Cup, the Brendan Rodgers Invitational, I'm going to go with his former club to beat his current club. And that Arsenal Wolves game just screams score draw to me.
Yeah. Okay. Well, just to get my picks on record, I'm going to go Arsenal to take care of Wolves. Wolves have been good, but not great. And I feel like Arsenal are really turning a corner. So I'm going to back the Gunners at the Molineux. Leicester, surprisingly, even though they've been poor, they always do well against Liverpool. I mean, there's that one outlier when Liverpool came back from the Club World Cup, when they absolutely pasted them with that classic Trent Alexander-Arnold celebration. I'm actually going to pick this one as a score draw, personally. But there you go. We've wrapped up match day 24. I'm just going to do a quick roll call of results that you may or may not have missed. West Ham defeated Watford 1-0. Newcastle really starting to get their asses into gear with a 3-1 victory over Everton. Interesting, Dele Alli came on in the 25th minute and did the equivalent of nothing. So that's interesting. We've touched on the Burnley, Manchester United 1-1 draw. Norwich City and Crystal Palace drew with the same scoreline. The juggernaut that is Manchester City just steamrolled Brentford 2-0. Southampton, we touched on already. They took care of Tottenham 3-2. And there was a thriller at the Villa as Aston Villa drew 3-3 with Leeds United. Felipe Coutinho once again getting on the score sheet. A brace for Jacob Ramsey. For Leeds United, Daniel James with a brace and Diego Loriente scoring the equaliser in that 3-3 draw. But now we've got that covered, Paul. Let's move on to game week 25 that kicks off with your boys in the early kickoff, taking on Southampton. How do you see that one going, mate?
9-0 United.
Wow.
No,
So you
no, I'm gonna say a goalless draw. Yeah, I had to do it, but
I like it.
I'm gonna say
A
goalless draw.
goalless draw. I'm going to go for Manchester United to turn the corner there. I think it won't be pretty, but I think Manchester United will get the job done. Maybe 1-0. Then we move on to the 3 p.m. kickoffs on Saturday, the traditional kickoff time over in England in the Premier League and, first division going back historically. And the big game that I was going to focus on, you alerted me to the fact that it's been postponed. What's happened there?
Well, apparently the Club World Cup is a thing that exists. And I actually wrote some previews for that. And it was today, and I still don't even know how Chelsea did. But win or lose, Chelsea will be playing on Sunday or Saturday. Well, there's a third place game. There's the title game. Chelsea got a bye to the semifinals for this. Mm-hmm. So with that in mind, Chelsea Arsenal is postponed this weekend.
Okay, no worries. Just to dot the I's and cross the T's, I've just Google searched it. Chelsea beat Al Hilal 1-0 with a Romelu Lukaku goal in the 32nd minute. Looks like they're going to take on Brazilian giants Palmeiras in the final. So that's an update on the Club World Cup. But let's move on to the 3 p.m. kickoffs. Brentford taking on Crystal Palace. This is our team, Paul. This is the Bees. Can they turn it around after a shellacking at the hands of Manchester City?
I'm not a believer anymore, maybe. Well, I don't know, that's too harsh. I'm like a half believer. I'm half in, half out on that. So I do think they'll get a result here. I think they'll take at least a point. I'm going to go 2-2 draw.
Okay, I think a draw is a smart pick there, mate. I think I might just piggyback on your prediction there and go a 2-2 draw also. Next up, Everton under Frank Lampard take on Leeds United at Goodison Park.
Yeah, I'm gonna go with the Toffees. I think they're gonna make a move here. I think, like I said, as I've said many times on this podcast, Leeds have been found out, and Everton made some moves on deadline day. They're a little bit better quality.
Yep, I think Everton will probably take care of Leeds. I'm going to make the call here. If Everton don't take care of Leeds, the pressure will be ramped up on Frank Lampard immediately, which is crazy to say, less than 2 weeks after he was given the job. Wrapping up the 3 p.m. kickoffs, mate, we have the Moose Men, Watford taking on Brighton and Hove Albion.
Yeah, that's a weird one. I kind of want to go with Brighton. They got off to a pretty good start. Then they kind of leveled off, kind of came down to earth. But I think they can take care of the Moose Men here.
Yeah, Roy Hodgson in charge of Watford. Interesting. They changed their
manager.
That is
crazy. 3 manager. Like, that is the only club I've heard of that. It was Watford both times. 3 different managers in the same season.
Yeah, maybe they'll end up with the same manager they started with, like they did a couple of seasons ago. Incredible. Their manager turnover is crazy. I'm going with Graham Potter's men here. I think they've got enough to take care of Watford. Expect to see a steely defensive display at Vicarage Road from Watford, though, and they'll make it difficult because that's what Roy Hodgson is known for. But I think the Yves Bissouma or something will unlock that defense somehow and get the 3 points for Brighton. The late kickoff is at Carrow Road. I would have called this a cricket score just a month ago. It might still be, Paul, but it's Norwich City hosting Manchester City.
One of the all-time great Premier League upsets of this era. I believe that was September 2019, but I don't see history repeating. This is going to be like a 4-0, 5-0, or 3-0 kind of game.
Yeah, I echo your sentiments there, mate. 5-0 Manchester City. I'm calling it. They'll take care of the Canaries easily. We move on to the Sunday fixtures, Paul. 2 p.m. kickoff in the UK. There's a bunch of games here. We start off at Turf Moor. Rock bottom Burnley take on Liverpool.
Well, Burnley are giant killers now, so No, I think they probably shot their load there, shot their wad there. I think Liverpool take care of them pretty easily.
Yeah. If Liverpool don't win, all you Liverpool fans out there, you can at me at Stewie is sick of it because they'll lose because I hung shit on Manchester United earlier for failing to get the 3 points. But realistically, I think Liverpool will win. Next up, a resurgent Newcastle United host Aston Villa under Steven Gerrard at St. James's Park. Just looking at this one now, I've just decided in real time that I am actually excited for this game. I think it'll be a great spectacle. Alan Saint-Maximin and Felipe Coutinho on opposite sides. Newcastle made some interesting signings that have definitely strengthened their squad. Aston Villa the same. So I'm excited for this one.
Long. It took you that long to decide if you're excited? Why?
I'm excited.
Why didn't you know before?
I don't know. Just all that information just flooded into my brain all at once, and I was like, "Wow, this is going to be one hell of a game." So just to get my pick out the way, I think Newcastle will probably do the business here. I'm expecting them to go on a bit of a winning streak.
I do too. For the same, I know Everton hasn't made a move yet and hasn't gotten it done since deadline day, but I think they will. For the same and for that same line of reasoning, I'm going to say that about Newcastle as well. I think the Magpies did what they needed to do, and eventually we're going to see that pay some dividends starting here.
Absolutely. And just the last 2 p.m. kickoff on the Sunday is Antonio Conte's Tottenham Hotspur taking on Wolverhampton Wanderers. I think the Italian mastermind will get them straight back on the winners sheet here.
Yeah, I agree. I really don't have, I really don't have anything else to add other than after their last result, we've already seen the improvements. We've seen how much better they've been under Conte, and I fully expect that to continue here.
And the final fixture is at the King Power Stadium. It's a 4:30 p.m. kickoff, and Leicester City's Foxes will take on West Ham United.
I'm gonna go with the team that says they are against animal abuse, but their actions, well, I guess is Zuma suspended or no?
I'm not sure. I know he got fined 50K by the club on top of the 2 weeks wages being
because
donated.
I wonder when this starts to become a distraction to them and then they start losing. So I kind of want to pick Leicester, or I'm at least rooting for Leicester just on that basis alone. So I'm going to say Leicester wins 2-1.
Yeah, I'm going to go Leicester too. I'm not confident that they'll get points against Liverpool, but I do think they'll return to the winner's sheet here. It's interesting. Kurt Zouma gets suspended. Everybody knows that the West Ham centre back stocks are light on. They missed out on Nat Phillips on deadline day. That's going to just weaken them a little bit too much. Leicester City for me. And that wraps up game week 25 preview, Paul. Just in a word, can you tell me just how excited you are to have league football back?
Yeah, I mean, it's a lot better than the FA Cup where they're playing teams I've never heard of. The FIFA Club World Cup, I'm not sure how many people outside of you, me, and Will, who writes for the site, even know that thing even exists. The League Cup has been the League Cup, Carabao Cup, Moose Cup, what Capital One Cup thing. That's been a punchline for so long. Yeah, it's great. I mean, it's wonderful. Great. The only thing better is when you get is when you have Champions League and Premier League in the same week, but we've got one of the two that matter right now, so that's awesome.
Yeah, and that is coming right around the corner, Champions League and Premier League. It's great for the sports bank, it's great for the podcast, it's great for you, it's great for me, it's great for everybody. Premier League is back, baby. Paul, mates, what is going on in the wide world of Paul that you'd like to let our legion of fans know about this week, my friend?
Well, I already talked about the Super Bowl halftime show. I did a post about the halftime show in Chicago Now. You can check that out. But my Abraham Lincoln post about in the 13th Amendment and the auction and all the Abraham Lincoln, the rookie card, basically, because he had that photograph. It looked like a baseball card. That got onto the main page of Fark.com, and Fark.com, for those who don't know, is a phenomenal news dump, link dump kind of site.
Okay, interesting.
See, Otis seems to agree.
Do you have any update on what that Abraham Lincoln stuff ended up going for?
Oh, the sale coincides with his birthday on February 12th, so we will keep the listeners. We will follow up
next week. We'll let you guys know about it.
Also, Fark is good for their headlines are hysterical.
Okay, interesting. Fark.
So definitely check out their headlines are awesome.
Ladies and gentlemen, that's it for another episode of After Extra Time. Make sure you follow us at our Twitter account at AfterET_podcast. I'm just going to chuck in, follow Paul at Paul M. Banks and follow me at Stewie is sick of it also. Be sure to get all your latest football news at thesportsbank.net. And last but not least, show the third member of our pod some love by following at Otis Ginger Tabby on Instagram. But until next week, he's Paul M. Banks. I'm Stuart Kavanagh. And this has been After Extra Time.